All right, so let's start off from the very beginning of when marriage actually took place. Okay, marriage actually started in the far east of Asia. Okay, in 2350 BC. All right, before ceremony. Get it? All right, not before Christ, but before ceremony. All right. They believed in the whole concept of having one woman to one man and starting families and things of that nature. All right, but before that, the concept of having multiple wives were common. All right, so a lot of Africans and Native Americans and things of that nature, they had multiple wives. Okay, now the main reason why they did this was because the women outnumbered the men at the time, which is still taking place today. You know what I'm saying? Like we see it all the time today. There are more women actually out here than men are. You know what I'm saying? And that's still actually a fact. All right. So now the whole concept where it became one woman to one man, which the people in Far East Asia actually adapted to, was because of the shift in sedentary farming communities. All right, meaning that they didn't have enough to feed all the children from having multiple wives. Okay, so the Far East Asians basically took that whole construct, but they was like, man, we don't have enough crop over here, all right, to feed these kids that we having. Okay, so it was more or less like, all right, we got to come up with a different type of way, all right, that will keep us in line, all right. So then that's where the whole concept of one woman to one man came into play, all right. And then you had that slogan that came in. Now we hear it a lot of time from our grandparents. It takes a village to raise a child. You know what I'm saying? Like that's where that basically came from. All right. So a lot of these things that we look at today have came from other cultures, such as marriage. All right. That one woman to one man concept was, from Far East Asia. All right. Now I'm not into polygamy myself, but there are some people that that conscribe to that thought process. All right. Because it's like, okay, well, this is how we were back in those days. All right. So we should get back to our own, roots of how we were, but if that's your thing, that's your thing. I'm not against that. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just gonna give you guys the rundown on where a lot of this stuff came from. All right. Now, let's get to where it gets, a little bit more intricate as far as with laws and things of that nature. All right. So now the concept of one woman to one man, all right, I'll just call it marriage at this point, was stolen, okay, by ancient Rome, okay, also known as the pagans, all right, in 509 BC, okay, but they actually had a different name for it, and they called it the Roman betrothal, and they actually added laws to it. So it was like they took the one woman, one man concept from Far East Asia, all right, and they added laws, okay. Now the laws were to cater to the Greek god Romulus, okay, who actually founded ancient Rome. All right. Now, the reason why they had to do these laws was to keep everything in order at that time, because before Romulus, they were running on a caveman type of vibe. All right. So it was like, every man for themselves. Okay, you see a woman, you grab her up and then you make that woman yours, and you have multiple women, whatever, it was all over the place, okay? So they ran like rebels out there. But, once Romulus came into play and he died, all right, then they put that whole concept of adding laws to it, okay? So Romulus is the guy that actually founded ancient Rome, okay? He was the one that founded ancient Rome. So a lot of laws that we look at today is basically ran off Romulus and his twin brother. All right, so let's keep it moving though. We're gonna keep it moving. Now Romulus, he was a weird individual. Okay, Romulus actually allowed men to intertwine with couples. Okay, meaning that if you, this is why I said they was running rampant, because if you was dating or married a woman, right, that you claimed as yours, he would allow another man to come in and intertwine with your relationship. Okay, this is where a lot of that homosexuality stuff came into play as well. All right, it was kind of like allowing, you know, a lawless living. You know what I'm saying? So, you got a stranger coming down the block and just basically, letting another guy come into your relationship. I wouldn't that wouldn't fly today in America, but these are the things that was taking place. Okay, and the reason why that they did this was because at that time in ancient Rome there was a shortage of women. Okay, so this is why when you look at a lot of these depictions of these ancient Greek gods and things of that nature, there's a lot of homosexuality and stuff like that involved. It's because that the women, there was a shortage of women in that time. Okay, in ancient Rome, not anywhere else, but in ancient Rome there was a shortage of women. So a lot of men were getting lonely, okay, from not having a company of a woman. So they would intercourse with other men, all right, just to satisfy their needs, all right. So this is where a lot of these things come into play. So they would allow a stranger to intertwine with the women that were, being accompanied in a relationship at that time, all right. So a lot of these doctrines that come into play with, threesomes and stuff like that, that's all ancient Greek, all right. That's what I'm saying. Like, these things come into play when we talking about Romulus and, these are his laws. These are his things that they abide by. Homosexuality and all of this stuff. He is the person that actually allowed that to happen. Okay. Now, let's talk about some of the laws that were involved in the marriages, okay, in ancient Greece. Okay. Now, this is no way, shape, form, or fashion to bash women. Okay. And I don't want the ladies to feel like, I'm going off on the deep end. It's going to get a little harsh. Some of it's going to be harsh. But, just know that I'm not stating this towards you guys. I just want to, speak on a certain thing that had to take place at that time. All right. So the laws of marriage that consisted of following the laws of Romulus were a woman, okay, a female had to have prudence, okay? Meaning she had to act stuck up, all right, if another man wanted her, all right? So, like, remember what I said, if a man would come into the play and say, yo, I want this lady, right? Grab her up. If she was married, she had to say, no, I'm taken by King such and such, and he would be like, what better is he than I, and all of this crap, right? But she had to show a sign of prudence to let the man know that she was taken, okay? Which is what we see today. If a woman is taken, she'll usually give you an attitude, right? You know what I'm saying? But us men will say, oh, she's being stuck up, but in all reality, she's just stating that she's taken at that time, or maybe she's just having a bad day. All right. Another law would be orderly conduct of woman. All right. Meaning she had to do as the man said. All right. And was controlled by the man. All right. And we kind of see this today as a representation of the ring. All right. Now I'm going to get into what the ring represents as well later on down the line. But the ring is a term of endearment and also a control power. All right. So it's a form of control. When you give a woman a ring, it basically states that she is your property. Okay, that's what this is all representation of. I'm not saying that, I'm not coming at you guys or saying that anything is wrong with that, but I'm gonna give you guys a clear indication on why a lot of this stuff took place. All right. Another law is divorce. Okay, divorce we see a lot that takes place in today's society. And I'm going to get down to the whole facts of divorce as well and break that down for you guys. But divorce is another law that was brought into play. But it didn't work on the man's side. Okay, the man was actually able to fraternize with any woman he wanted. Okay, but the woman, if she was hurt behind anything that the man did towards her, all right, she was able to get the divorce, okay, and leave the situation, okay. The man would never leave. The woman would leave, okay. And the death penalty for adulterous women, okay, that was another law. So now, if you were married to a man in ancient Greece at this time, okay, and you were adulterous, just so happens that you happen to marry a harlot, all right? And, she was, running around with everybody, okay? She would receive the death penalty, okay? Another way of what they would call now off with your head. Still, a lot of countries still do that to this day, okay? A lot of Islamic countries do, follow this doctrine. Sad to say, but this is what they do, all right? Another law would be consumption of wine by women would also result in the death penalty, okay? Because they believe that alcohol will result in a woman's infidelity, all right? They would feel that if a woman were to get drunk, okay, she's liable to do something that may be against her morals, all right? I mean, that could be possibly true, but the laws of that were, very strict. If you were married at that time, you cannot drink. Okay, you are not supposed to drink. All right, and like I said, the Roman men were able to drink and fraternize and flirt with women and things of that nature. All right, but the women were not allowed to do that. Okay, they were not allowed to do that. All right, so now, as we know, okay, the Roman Catholic, all right, are the people that follow these same doctrines, okay, and this is how, marriage kind of jumped into the lane of Christianity and other, other religions as well, all right, but they kind of follow the same doctrine from the Roman Catholics, all right. But let's take a look at some of the rituals, okay. Let's get into the rituals now, because the rituals are very important. That I want to explain to you guys, and I'm going to try to break this video down as quickly as possible and get to the reality of a lot of this stuff, all right? But like I said, let's get into some of the rituals that take place within a marriage, okay? And maybe you guys can understand this clearly, but this is something that is kind of weird, because a lot of witchcraft is done within a marriage. People that are, most people are not even aware of what takes place, all right, within these type of rituals that they're doing, all right, during these times, all right, when they're getting married, all right. Okay, so here we go. The first one is the kneeling. Okay, now when a man proposes to his wife to be, all right, he decides that he wants to become married to this woman, he wants to become engaged to this woman, he pops the question, right? He is to get down on one knee, all right. Now when a man gets down on one knee, okay, you see here, this is a representation of a man taking the Masonic oath, all right. So they're following that same doctrine. When you get down on one knee, that is a man's promise to say, I will never leave this woman, all right? Now, I'm going to get into some other things as well down the line of why I say that this is all, like rituals that are being done that people are not, very, clear about, all right? But when a man gets down on one knee, okay, this is a representation of him taking a oath, okay? Now, if you guys don't know, when you're on one knee, this is a representation of the square and compass, all right? Masons will tell you this. They'll tell you this all the time, but most of them won't. But if you read a lot of these books, like I encourage you guys, if you want to learn about a lot of this occultic stuff or Freemason stuff like that, look up a book called Freemason for Dummies. Okay, and this kind of like a lot of these depictions from this artworks and things of that nature come from this. So a lot of people ask, yo, Jay, how do you know all of this stuff? Because they're in books, all right? A lot of this stuff is in books. But as you can see here, the guy is kneeling on one knee to give that oath of promise, to say, okay, I would never leave this woman. She's going to be by my side through thick and thin, all right? It's a control aspect, all right? When he puts this ring on her finger, all right, this is a representation of control, a control barrier, all right, to say that he owns her as his property. Now, I'm not saying that this is actual factual as of today, but I'm saying a lot of this stuff comes from and derives from ancient Greece, where it was a control aspect. You had to control the woman. All right. Nowadays, a lot of this stuff, it wouldn't fly, because it's like, you can't control me. All right. The women would be like, you can't control me. I refuse to be controlled by a man. All right. We're in this together. But that's not how ancient Greece saw it. Okay. So a lot of the doctrines that come from, ancient Greece are now being projected in today, and people are unaware of it. All right. So this is why when you get married to a woman nowadays, right, and you spend, a lot of money on a ring, it's easy for her to take off the ring at any given time. Okay. And once she takes off that ring, to the general public now, she is no longer visibly married. You understand what I'm saying? So this is where a lot of that stuff comes from. All right. Now, so the proposal, let's talk about the ring. The proposal of the ring, all right, actually comes from the Ouroboros, all right, which started in Egypt, all right, with the god Ra and his union with Osiris in the underworld. Okay, so as you can see here, it's the god Ra with this circle around his head, right? That is the representation of his union with Osiris, okay, in the underworld, all right? Now, this ring around his head has been used in many different cultures, but this was the first representation of that. Okay, we've seen this in alchemy. Okay, we've seen this in Satanism. Okay, we've seen this in everything you could think about. All right, but this is all derived from the Ouroboros. Okay, now the Ouroboros. Okay, and also in Roman times, it appeared on magic talismans. Okay, so back in ancient Greece and Roman times and stuff like that, they would use this circle here, okay, to represent eternity, all right, which is also what the Ouroboros represents as well, as far as with eternity. It means to be a part of something for eternity. So when you pop that question and you give that woman that ring, that's a signification, that's a clarification of you being with that woman for eternity, okay? Till death do you part, all right? So there's no backing out of it. Once you give her that ring, all right, there's no backing out of it. Even if you decide to get married and give this woman a ring, you're not supposed to take it back, all right? Because that is your symbol of eternity. You've given her that gift of eternity, all right? All right, so now the very first ring was exchanged between woman and man, okay? That was called the fetter ring, all right? The fetter ring was actually given in around in medieval times, okay? This was like a symbol of love, okay? Where it's a depiction here of two hands held together, okay? To show that there is a bond between the two individuals, all right? Now, around this time, people also did bring the ring out on pillows, okay? As we see today, all right, with the ring bearers, all right, where they use children now. But back then, they would use the peasants, okay? The peasants of the kings or whoever was deciding to get married would be the ones that would bear the ring, okay? They didn't use children back then. They would use the peasants. So when you see children bringing the ring to the bride or the groom, okay, however marriages go, all right, that is a representation of the peasant bringing the ring, okay? But like I said, back then they would use fetter rings, okay? Now they made these same rings, okay, but pretty more expensive, all right? But I want to point something out, that the use, okay, of the wedding ring is not in the Bible, okay? But why do Christians wear them, okay? I'm going to read a verse out of the Bible, actually, to clarify this, all right? Okay, so it says here in 1 Timothy chapter 12, verse 9, it says, "In like manner also that women adorn themselves in modest apparel with shamefacedness and sobriety, not with broided hair," meaning braided hair, Okay, women were not supposed to braid their hair back in these days. Or gold, okay? Or pearls, or costly array, okay? But which becometh women professing godliness with good works, all right? So back then, you wasn't supposed to wear jewelry, okay? You weren't supposed to wear jewelry and things of that nature, or have your hair braided and, flaunt, all right? But nowadays, it's different now, all right? We talking about the Bible here, all right? A lot of these things ain't, it's not really the same as back then as it is today, okay? But, women like to make themselves look nice. But in the Bible, it says that you shouldn't wear jewelry, all right? I myself am falling victim to this, okay? Maybe they're not talking about men, or maybe they're just talking about women. I don't know. But I did want to read that to you guys and give you a clarification on why the wedding ring is brought up in marriages at Christian weddings. All right, it makes no sense to me. Just makes no sense. Okay, a third ritual that I found to be very interesting is the bridesmaids. Okay, now the bridesmaids ideology actually started also in ancient Rome. Okay, also as a way of distracting evil spirits. Okay, I encourage you guys to look up the originality of the meaning on how bridesmaids came into play. Okay, but this is actually why they were there, is to distract evil spirits. Now, the whole concept of marriage back in these days, okay, was that the woman, okay, was to remain pure, okay, until she was in the care of her husband, all right, which is why the whole white dress concept came into play, all right. I'm going to break down the whole concept of the veils as well, all right, but a lot of these weddings were to represent the woman being pure, okay, until that man was to get her into his home or castle or whatever at that time, and then they would go on to start a family, all right, not fornicating, but they would start a family, okay, hence the reason of a honeymoon, okay. Honeymoons also are rituals as well. The reason why they call it honeymoons is because of the paleness of the moon, all right. The original reason of a honeymoon was the result of a new moon, okay. This is a form of magic that magicians do, all right. If you wanting to start new beginnings, okay, a lot of magicians would do rituals on the new moon, okay, not on a full moon, okay. So when you see a widespread moon in the sky, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is a full moon. It could be a new moon, all right. And a lot of these new moons, all right, a lot of these rituals that were done, or marriages that were done on the new moon to bring in new beginnings, all right. But like I said, the bridesmaid, all right, was a way of distracting evil spirits from the bride, okay. So they had to have a way for the spirits that were involved around this time, and I'm going to be honest with you, around this time they were heavily influenced with the evil eye, okay. There was a lot of magicians around this time as well, all right, but mostly there were people that were involving themselves with the evil eye. So the bridesmaids were the ones to protect them from that, all right. Hence the word bridesmaids, all right. What does a maid do? Okay, clean up your shit, all right. The day of the marriage, all right. Okay, so I'm gonna give you guys a clear indication of sympathetic magic, all right. In Rome, they would pick a bridesmaid, okay, and an older happily married woman would gift her with an object to inherit her luck, okay. Now, whatever gift this was that the older happily married woman would give her, okay, she would take that gift, all right, and put it under her pillow, all right, and at night she would sleep and dream about her future husband, okay, and that would actually come true, all right. So there was a lot of rituals that took place in marriages at that time, all right, to allow the next person to go on and become married, all right. Let's go to another ritual here, all right, which is a lot of African Americans tend to do, is called jumping the broom, all right, which was, brought in by the African Americans, but it did start, all right, in the Middle Ages of Europe, all right. That came from the Middle Ages of Europe, so it was a European thing, all right. And then around this time, so I don't want to sound, racist or prejudiced or anything, but around the times of slavery, all right, this is when that came into play, all right. Once we were in captivity, here, put this broom down and jump over it, okay. That was a way that the Europeans did things. They brought the witchcraft into the marriages of the African Americans, all right, and then that was a whole doctrine that's still possibly common today, all right. Now I'm gonna break this down that the broom, all right, was actually the witch's tool, okay, for transportation, all right, and they considered the broom to be of good luck, all right. So basically, jumping over a broom would be like an abomination to them, all right. If a woman hesitated of jumping over a broom, she would have to count the bristles to prove she wasn't a witch, all right. The broom has a lot of rituals within it inside of marriage, all right. You ever heard that term? A lot of people say, hey, don't sweep your feet, you'll never get married, all right. That's all a form of witchcraft, all right. Superstitious things and witchcraft. The broom is heavily used in the African American culture, all right, within marriages, all right. But it's a form of witchcraft if you don't break it down, all right. Now let's break down the vows, okay. The last one here is the vows, all right. Now I don't know exactly the whole thing about vows or what have you and things of that nature, but I'm gonna break it down of exactly what vows are, all right. And this all, like I said, this all came from Romulus, all right, of ancient Greece. Romulus is actually the one that actually brought these whole doctrines of vows into place. But vows are just basically a oath of promise, okay, to basically say, hey, I'm going to stay with this person forever and ever, all right, without any type of disagreements or anything like that, all right. But here's my issue with vows, okay. Like I said, when you get down on that one knee, when the fella gets down on that one knee and he proposes to that woman, that is his oath of promise. That is his vows, all right. To death do you part, all right, for goodness and health, through thick and thin, all right. That's what you're supposed to do, all right. Now, when you speak on the words of till death do us part, all right, and then there's a contradiction there when you have the words divorce, okay. The word divorce and till death do you part is pretty much a contradiction, okay, because you're supposed to stick with this person no matter what, okay. When you take vows, all right, when you agree to take vows is an oath of promise to say, I'm going to stay with this person, okay, forever, all right. But, all right, in today's day and age, okay, you can go down to your local lawyer's office and go to divorce court and say, I don't want to be with this person anymore, all right, and pretty much rip up your marriage certificate and call it quits, all right, because that is breaking the oath, all right. That is what you would call breaking the oath, all right. There is no backsliding once you become married, all right, but they give everyone an out, all right. Soon as you decide to get married, you have to understand you're making a business agreement, okay. You're agreeing to do business with this person forever, okay. What's yours is mine. What's mine is yours, all right. Regardless, this is why alimony and things of that nature and all kinds of spousal support is into play, okay, because once you make an agreement, all right, to marry this person, all right, and then you decide that you don't want to be married anymore, you still have to pay that person, okay. You're still obligated to give half of what's yours to that person, all right. So it's all been tampered with, all right. And then when you think about it, a lot of the vows have been broken into by a lot of Satanists, okay. A lot of Satanists that we look at today, okay, have ruined the vows of woman and man, all right. Now I'm going to get into something that may be a little touchy, all right? That, like I said, I can't put this on YouTube because it may offend some people, all right? But now, if you are of the same-sex marriage, this is no way, shape, form, or fashion to degrade you or make you feel bad about your decision or anything like that. I'm going to explain to you the issues behind a lot of this stuff, all right? So, same-sex marriage, all right, was basically an abomination, all right? But it was introduced by Constantine, okay, who was a gay man. Okay, now Constantine started off as a pagan, okay, but he actually gave rights for people to become Christians, okay? He was the one that said, all right, well, let them do what they want to do. At that time, Christians were the rebels, okay? They were the ones that was going against the odds. Everything was normal. Like, to be a normal citizen, you had to indulge in paganism. You had to indulge in homosexuality. You had to indulge in festivities. You had to indulge in getting drunk. You had to indulge in violence, okay? Which we still see today, all right? And the Christians were the ones that said, we're not doing any of that stuff. We want to be good people. We want to go against the grain. And we not tolerating any of that, all right? But Constantine was actually the one that said, you know, let them do their thing, all right? Even if we don't agree with what they want to do, just give them, let them, we're not going to force them to do what they don't want to do. Let them do what they want, all right? So a lot of the doctrine that comes from the, you know, the Holy Bible, where it says, you know, it's abomination to sleep with man and woman, all right? That comes from that concept, all right? But the rules would still apply because Constantine, okay, was actually the one that said, hey, we live in life on the edge, all right? It was just what it was, all right? Now, the whole concept of same-sex marriage was pretty much, you know, no good in Hinduism as well, okay? The Islamic faith, all right? Even Judaism, the only religion that actually allowed this at that time was Zoroastrianism, all right? Zoroastrianism was the only one that kind of allowed homosexuality or same-sex marriages, okay? Man and man, woman and woman, okay? A freedom, okay? A place of freedom, all right? And then fast forward, okay, to today's day and age, all right? Where this was against the rules in society, okay? For years, all right? For years and years and years in America, in the United Kingdom, in other countries, they were not allowing same-sex marriage, all right? Until they decided to change the way, all right? Where we following, if you guys are following this new age agenda or this new world order, okay, a new way of thinking, all right? Obama actually pushed this act into play in 2013, okay, where he allowed same-sex marriages to take place and change the laws, okay, of man, all right? When people change the laws of man, all right, this is what I'm saying. They're allowing these things to happen and to take place. Now, when we see this, this is all, it's all basically population control, okay, in its hindsight. They've just figured out a way to do it creatively, all right? Because if woman and woman are together, okay, and they adopt a child, that's actually not reproducing, okay? If man and man, okay, are married and they go and adopt a child, that's not reproducing, all right? In order for humanity to continue on, all right, we have to reproduce, okay? So this is why a lot of these things are taking place in today's age now, because they want this to actually, you know, stop humanity, all right, in a sense, all right? So let's talk about UK civil partnerships in 2004, all right? Now, those folks over in the United Kingdom were saying, hey, what are you doing here? They tried to slide this crap in there, all right, at 2004, at an earlier time, okay, where it was called civil partnerships, all right, in the United Kingdom, where they allowed two gay people, okay, to actually share the same funds, okay, or as a common law, all right, as married people would do, all right. But a lot of married people were like, yo, how can y'all give them the same laws as us? They haven't went through the process of getting a marriage certificate. That's not fair. You get what I'm saying? And they shut that down real quick, all right. They shut it down. And, then, fast forward, like I said, to 2013, all right, Barack Obama came into play, and whoever is the prime minister over there, they allowed that to actually happen, all right? They allowed it to take place, all right? And it kind of like shifted the world a little bit, because now as we look at these type of demographics and groups, all right, the LGBTQIA community, all right, they constantly adding on more letters, okay, every single day, okay, until the whole alphabet is on there. Now, we laugh at this stuff, okay, as if it's funny, but in all reality, okay, this is a power trip. Now, like I said, if you guys are into the same sex out there, this is no way or shape, form, or fashion to throw shade towards you. I'm just trying to explain that the laws that are being passed, okay, is to outrule or outnumber, okay, people that are of the heterosexual belief system, okay, and it's an unfair treatment, because a lot of these people have more laws and more agreements and fair treatment, okay, because the law is on their side now, okay. And like I said, they all of these people are following the concept of paganism, okay? They're following the concept of Romulus, all right? Romulus was a dirty guy, all right? If you look up the history of who Romulus was and what he did, okay, yeah, he wanted to make, ancient Greece a better place and things of that nature, and he wanted freedom, but he was a tyrant, all right? At the end of the day, he was definitely a tyrant, okay? So, with that being said, I hope I broke down a few of these things. I didn't want to make this video too long. I wanted to give you guys a clear indication on a lot of these things that take place. All right. The next video I will be doing, okay, will consist of sports. I know a lot of you guys were asking me about sports and things of that nature. I'm going to be breaking down the business of sports and a lot of rituals that take place in the sports, okay? I'm going to follow up with a lot of other videos that are going to dive deep into entertainment and a lot of things that dive deep into governmental issues that are taking place around us, all right? So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you guys have a blessed and safe week, all right? Peace.